I just ordered this new ETEKCITY pH meter to measure my hydroponics water for my plants. And this is my new MUDDER CE meter. I have a couple of empty 5-liter jugs that I'm going to take to the store and fill up with free water. Let's go. Okay, we're heading over to the shopping mall here in ETEKCITY, Japan, so if you're not familiar with the area, well, come along for the ride anyway. We're about to walk up to the machine here. I have a member's card. I swipe it, I push the button that says free water, the 5-liter button. Put my container in the machine, which is made for this dispenser, and fill it up with water. Okay, let's go back and test out those two new meters. Here I've got 3 glasses of water, one filled with regular tap water out of the faucet, one with the free water that you saw me fill in the jugs, and while I was filling up that one container, I had another container that I filled up with water that was not free. It cost about $1.50 for the same size container, and that one is on the right hand side. Let's turn the pH meter on, and we will test the pH water of the tap water. This glass here on the left hand side is the tap water, and it measures in at around 7.5 pH level or so. Okay, that's a bit alkaline. Next, the water in the middle, this is the free water that costs nothing, and you'll see that this is a bit lower on the pH scale. As we watch this, it'll actually go all the way down to about the 5.5 mark. Okay, and next, for the water that cost about $1.50, it was actually labeled as mineral water. You'll notice that it actually goes down quite a bit as well to about the 5.5 mark. Okay, that's it for the pH testing. Now let's move on to the CE testing. Okay, I bought these two tools at the same time from Amazon. That was the pH meter and now the CE tool. The CE meter, or the conductivity meter, measures how much current is in the water. Current increases as minerals increase. Minerals such as potassium, calcium, fluoride, whatnot. So you're going to find out here in a second here that the tap water actually has a higher amount of conductivity than the next glass. That's because there's things that are added to the water before it comes out your pipe to basically increase the pH level, and for other reasons, I imagine. However, I don't want that, which is why I went out and got some water that was filtered. Okay. So this button, this device has some mode buttons. It can actually measure temperature in both Celsius and Fahrenheit, and PPM, which is parts per million, or CE. Those are basically the same readings, except that one is the baseline reading of CE, otherwise known as LTS, and then PPM is parts per million. Parts per million is generally half. In this case, it's 84. You're going to see that the CE reading, it will be about 168 or something like that. So this is the basic tap water, which means that there's about 168 or let's see, 64, 84 parts per million of things in the water, such as calcium, potassium, and whatnot, or other things that I have no clue of. And then the let's see here. Okay. So again, 84. Then there's a reset button, which I'll use here in a second, and an on-off button. The reset or the clear button just simply sets it back to 0. Okay, so we've got a reading of about 168 on the CE, the conductivity reading of the water. What we're looking for is close to 0. And the reason for this, it's actually difficult to reach exactly 0. Not impossible, I guess, but as close to it as possible. So you're going to see that in this one we come up with a CE of about 14, or a PPM of 7. Again, the PPM is generally about half of whatever the CE is. Okay, so that means that there's about 7 parts per million in the water. So for every million molecules, let's say, 7 of those molecules are of some other substance. That's actually a very good reading. Okay, so what that means is I'm starting off with a very baseline amount of water that I can begin to add my own nutrients to, my own fertilizer for my plants and whatnot, and I can measure that on a daily basis. But if I start off with water that has a bunch of other junk in it, it's kind of difficult to know the impact of what I'm adding to the water is. The third glass on the right, as we approach it here in a second, you're going to see that it's got 58, a reading of 58. That means it was called mineral water, so I guess that means that there were some minerals added to it. Probably from that machine that I used to get the initial amount of water out of. Instead of giving me just the basic water, it gave me basic water plus some other minerals and stuff added into it. Okay, so this is the MUDDER CE or TDS PPM measuring tool, as well as a temperature tool in both Celsius and Fahrenheit. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. See you soon.